Welcome to Spokane Business at Spokane Talks. I'm Cyndi Donahue. I'm very pleased to be joined today by Scott Cook of LuckyBird. Welcome, Scott.
Hey, thanks for having me.
It's good to see you as always.
Likewise, yeah.
So maybe tell me at the beginning, when and why was LuckyBird started?
So LuckyBird was launched officially in August 2018. We were a reseller, retailer. I was blessed to have learned a great deal of the retail world from my prior employer, now Caspian. And we set out with a more personalized touch in mind where we felt the normal retail space was very transactional. We wanted to get to know our partners and our distributors and people we worked with better. We felt that a deeper relationship, smaller numbers, had a big impact. And so we have grown that tremendously. I have 4 employees now.
That's great. And what is the why? So I'm a big Simon Sinek person. So what is the why of LuckyBird?
Yeah, so if you were to ask my team this, the answers evolved a little bit over time. But we say that we exist to create an ecosystem of innovative products and services that are disruptive in the e-commerce business, the industry. So that doesn't mean a whole lot other than first we started in this retail space. But since then, we've bolted on really cool new avenues like marketing, for example, which we'll talk about in a second, where we learned that it's not just about having product and knowing how to sell it. It's how do you actually place that with a customer, and understanding marketplace dynamics and is there a local brand that doesn't want to be on Amazon? So how do we get their name out locally? And so working through the dynamics, but we've got this marketing service that we've bolted on. We have private label, which is our own brands that we create from scratch. Work overseas to find suppliers and negotiate supply chains and the whole kit and caboodle. And so there's some other fun things coming up, which we're not going to go through today, but we're evolving to have this ecosystem of cool products and services.
What makes Spokane a good place to be in business, would you say?
Yeah, good question. So I came from Portland, and I grew up in Phoenix, but came from Portland. I'm the West Side kid in a lot of ways. I didn't grow up in Spokane, and so coming out here, as most of you know, you're watching this. Spokane is the biggest small town, I think, maybe in the U.S., but definitely on the West Coast, and everybody seems to know each other. Tom Simpson's done a really great job, I think, positioning Spokane to attract external money, but there's an immense amount of talent here that's completely untapped. And so one of the things that I've noticed, and I'm sure other business leaders have as well, is there's an incredible talent pool that's untapped that if we don't figure out a way to place them and put them strategically into these new startup roles of like LuckyBird, for example, they're probably going to go somewhere else. They're going to go to the West Side. They're going to move out east. And for me, there's a tremendous amount of value because the truth is I don't have to pay the talent that I would on the West Side out here. Not yet anyways. My hope is that we grow those incomes. But there's more talent at your disposal here than anywhere I've ever been. So.
And do you know that Tom and Ignite started IgniteMatch.works for that very reason? Do you know about that?
I know about it, but I didn't know that's
exactly what it is. It's a
really?
way to attract talent into Spokane for the startup positions that are available.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So what, in terms of marketing, what are some things that business owners should be doing to maximize their marketing?
Yeah, so it's really easy to say you need to have social media, but very few business owners understand how to do that correctly. It's not just about posting on Facebook. It's not just about having an Instagram or having a Twitter, or even knowing what Twitter is in some cases. It's understanding where your customer is actually at. And so I'll give you, this is a random example, but we have a hammock line called Rincon. And it doesn't necessarily appeal to everybody. It's primarily outdoor lovers, let's call it like millennial and submillennial ages. Well, where are they hanging out? Pretty much 2 places, Instagram and TikTok, which you'd be like, what, TikTok? So we invested pretty early on, well, I say early on, about 1.5 years ago, in doubling down on our TikTok following. And there's this random video that we have on there. It's of all things, a shark, that's had over 10 million views.
Wow.
And we have a follower base of just about 50,000, specifically for Rincon, this hammock company. And we grew that following because we understood where our customer was at. And so I would tell any business owner, anybody thinking about social media, is try to understand where first of all, step back. Do you understand your customer? So sometimes you jump into things like social media not understanding, or marketing in general, not understanding who your actual customer is. So first, let's dissect that. Who is your customer? Once you figure out who that is, then you start to figure out what types of social verticals are they playing in. So if for example, we worked with Just Add Monsters and the KHQ team on an esports tournament that they ran. Well, there's a subreddit, Reddit being the social platform, a subreddit for NBA 2K, which is where the game was played. And there was nothing going into that subreddit. Nobody was talking about it. But sure enough, once we popped the hood and started advertising in there, we got signups. So it's all about understanding where are your customers hanging out.
And other than social media, what are other places people could do their marketing, or what other kind of marketing for Spokane business owners do you think?
Yeah, so there's kind of like, as far as we can tell, there's a lot of social media advertising, which everybody knows a lot about, or has heard a lot about. But there's this old school, think broadcast, TV, and in general, people think those are the two marketing angles. Traditional broadcast, maybe billboard and signage and social media. But what's emerging is what's called OTT, which actually Spokane Talks does quite a bit in. And OTT, over the top is what that stands for, is leveraging in-home devices to market to people. So for example, I have a Fire Stick in my house.
Me too.
Right. And people have Roku or Apple TV or whatever. And so those digital devices are plugged into your Wi-Fi. So they're tracked on an IP basis. And there's a mountain of data providers. This is that deep, dark data that everybody talks about. There's this mountain of dark data out there that people have collected. And not surprisingly, you're being tracked. So when you search for, a pair of llama shoes, the llama shoes are going to start showing up on your Facebook feed for a reason, because they're tracking IP. So it's a kind of a hidden marketing angle, but essentially, I just call it OTT, but it's digital service providers access inventory on the market, which is websites, it's your Amazon Fire TV, and it's any placement that you could potentially be advertised to. And the best part about all this data is we know who it is who we're actually advertising to. So
you can really drill down.
So if we wanted to drill down to a mid-40s female who lives in 99203, who likes the Seahawks and maybe, drinks coffee at Indaba, we could do that.
Wow, that's amazing how you can drill down. So really knowing your customer, like you said, super important.
Yeah.
And then what would be the biggest mistake that you see that other business owners are doing in terms of their marketing that they could fix?
Yeah, probably set it and forget it. They did some preliminary work to figure out what types of advertising they want to do. Maybe they pulled in an ad firm or a creative agency. They think they know what they want to do, and they go. But they don't measure or define success, or they don't know how to measure success going into it, and they just assume that what they're doing is successful. They set it and forget it. I have $1,000 a month. I want to go to social media. Go get it done, and that's it. As opposed to what's called A/B testing, which is where you're trying several different ways of marketing and seeing what types of results actually come from that. One of the reasons that I started this business is because we were spending marketing dollars, and we didn't necessarily see the ROI from it. It was just, oh yeah, you got to invest marketing dollars. It drives me nuts. As a business owner, I want to see how that dollar that I'm spending in marketing is tied to a sale or to a transaction, right? It's part of the retailing.
So looking for results. I mean, really testing, try one, try the other, see what happens, and then readjusting and constantly readjusting.
Never assume that you have nailed it.
It's a constant process.
It really is.
Yeah.
But when you hit it. So I'll give you an example. And I don't have any skin in this game other than I appreciate their creativity. But the Great P&W, we were just talking about this the other day. They more or less owned the Spokane area in their space for what design? Do you remember?
It's the P&W with the...
Yeah, but do you know the thing that put them on the map where everybody started paying attention to them?
No.
It's this billboard that they put up and I thought it was creative. It was out of the box. It's their Two Bears design. Do you know what this is?
I do know what that is.
Okay, so it had a bunch of... It was a little on edge, right? And so, I think they had to take the billboard down or whatever. But the point was they put themselves out there in this really unique way, and it it was successful. So you can look back and say, yeah, those guys nailed it.
So kind of guerrilla marketing, like totally out of the
Totally
box
guerrilla
thinking. I mean, bear marketing. I guess.
Bear marketing.
Bear
Bear
marketing.
marketing. Yeah, no, guerrilla marketing. Yeah. And I think the closer you get to home base, i.e. Spokane or the Inland Northwest, the more guerrilla tactics are necessary. Mm-hmm. You're not Coca-Cola, a house name brand, right? You're advertising, Sanchez boots or, some local brand that no one's really heard of.
So you got to do something big.
You got to think, and just different.
Yeah.
Something that catches people's eye. We're used to living in a 10-second world where something flashes across our screen and we're gone, right? And so you've got to think outside the box.
And what kind of services do you provide for small business owners in Spokane? So what would LuckyBird do?
Yeah, we've been working through this because, to be honest, it's kind of constantly evolving. We like to think of ourselves as a practical marketing agency. And so we've talked to some other agencies in town and just try to figure out, based on what we do, how do others stack up in terms of service and quality and price? And as far as we can tell, there's a pretty significant hole in the, I'm a small business, I have a cool product, but I don't have a ton of money. So before I can totally answer that question, we will do everything from the actual creation of the ad itself, the creative assets component, to the deployment and the marketing components and the strategy baked into it. But every business is different, and every business has something that they've tried that they like and a huge hole that they haven't done anything with. And so my encouragement is, if you're a business owner and you're looking at this, or you're attached to a business owner in some way, I would encourage you to have a conversation with us, because even if we can't help you, I think the questions that we ask to unearth the things that are happening in your business are valuable. There's intrinsic value in just having a conversation with us, because whether we can help you or not, we're going to be able to drive you in the right direction.
So just talking through it.
Yeah.
Talking through it. Well, I'm so glad to have you on Spokane Business. Thank you for coming.
Yeah,
and I'm sure I'll be working with you again soon.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Cyndi.
Thanks.
When we opened the doors the first day, we started with a counter full of maybe a dozen selections of a dozen cupcakes. We sold out, and it just went crazy from there. I'm Sally. I run Sweet Frosting's Blissful Bake Shop in downtown Spokane. It's almost 40 years of baking for me. We now do between 1,000 and 2,000 cupcakes a day. The variety of cupcakes is kind of like the variety of services that STCU provides for us. Since we opened this site in 2014, they've been our banker. We are producing for 4 stores right here, so we have 35 to 40 employees at any one time. There's an STCU close to virtually every one of my stores, and every time I get a new employee, that's the first place we send them. STCU is such a good fit. It's just so convenient for me to have them as neighbors. They are always so pleasant and always so helpful, and we have a lot of little needs. They've always been behind me 100%, so it's a good thing to have that partnership.